We've talked a lot in recent months about the disappearance of our old world. But this glorious midsummer week, the old world hasn't felt very distant. We are entering more rapidly by the day a new, less certain stage. The beginnings of a reopening which will only accelerate as we head to July the 4th, dubbed by some Independence Day. But is it so surprising that our fellow citizens locked up for so long have availed themselves of nature's glory, especially when the signals from government could be said to be mixed?
There will be people who will be meeting and drinking on places like the seafront and in parks where it will be impossible to get the names and addresses of every customer. There will be other pinch points where lots of people from various destinations will be rubbing up against each other. What will he do in the absence of the promised app to make sure that these communities are destination for investment and not destination for COVID?
I think I will be calling on local representatives, such as himself, to show some guts and determination and champion their communities as venues for people to return to and to support.
Do you think perhaps in extreme situations you should consider shutting beaches?
Well, we do have that power. I'm reluctant to use it because, people have had a pretty tough lockdown, and I want people to be, obviously, everybody should be able to enjoy the sunshine. The key is to do it with respect. Stay with your household, stay a good distance from other households. Outside is safer than inside.
Some scientists believe the messaging has now become deeply muddled.
We're not very far away from just let everything hang out. And unfortunately, the messaging from the government has been very mixed on this, because on the one hand, it's saying, let us be clear, we're not out of the woods and we need to be cautious. But on the other hand, they're using language which is intended, I presume, to be very reassuring, because it's saying go to the shops, go to the pub, enjoy yourself, it's Independence Day. So that's very problematic.
It feels as if we're in a summer lull. It will take some time before the virological implications of this unwinding, if any, are felt. And in general, despite the scenes we're seeing, the public think the government is going at the right pace. A poll of 2,000 people conducted this week said that 40% of the public think the government is doing a good job phasing the UK out of lockdown, compared to 31% who think it's doing a bad job. 53% think the government is following the current scientific advice. 31% think it's not. But where weaknesses for the government could come is on the specifics. For example, 46% think the government did a bad job implementing a contact tracing system, and 44% think it did a bad job conducting a nationwide testing programme. These problems could come back to haunt us. As we saw in Liverpool last night, mass congregations are back, and local government, faced with a mass reopening on a Saturday, the busiest day possible, is eyeing the calendar nervously. The common complaint is a lack of data from central government and a reliance upon it to lock down locally if needed.
I'm not confident that track and trace is anywhere near ready. We're just working ours through with our public health director and other people. But, if you were asking me again, was I, hugely confident in that? The answer to that is no. And I think, governments have also been slow to react to local government's call for the powers to be given to cities or local authorities to intervene quickly if there is a spike in a particular locality or area.
Ultimately, this is about a difference between political and scientific emphasis, a difference which from this week on has become harder to identify. Sir Patrick Vallance and Chris Whitty were very clear at the last of the daily government press briefings that we could go down from 2 metres to 1 metre so long as it was with mitigation. Now, mitigation is not a theme about which we've heard very much since. Without the punctuation of the daily government briefings, it has become more difficult for politicians or scientists to get their message across. There is, to some extent at least, something of a vacuum. As one very exasperated figure from local government put it to me today, as far as they could see, the strategy in Whitehall as to what happens next is to suck it and see. This summer feels especially heady. We're a nation to have emerged in so many ways from the dark. But this is a summer with jeopardy always just out of view. This lull, like this season, will give way to an autumn filled with the consequences of now.